Karen Healy says that Islam is taking over in her children's schools.
I looked through the children's textbooks and started noticing how they slanted towards a certain religion.
When your children went to public school, was it your impression that Muslim students were treated differently from students of other religions?
There were certain privileges given to the Muslim students when it came to their fasting before Ramadan. They were taken into different rooms during lunchtime. That was one reason why I chose to put my daughter Molly back into a parochial school.
Did you raise this with the school?
I did.
And they said?
They said it was teaching tolerance and I was being intolerant.
Out of 307 million Americans, 1.8 million identify themselves as Muslim American. That's less than 1% of the population. And yet for the past 2 decades, Muslims have had considerable influence over textbook content.
The teachers know nothing about Islam. The Prentice Hall book fails to mention that the terrorists at 9/11 were Muslim radicals. In almost all textbooks, terrorism is not identified as Islamic.
What is it called?
Terrorists, period. Makes it hard to understand what their motives were in a cowardly way, being deferential to the Council on Islamic Education, which Houghton Mifflin uses as a consultant. The editors removed jihad and Sharia from their high school books.
We were known for the last 19 years as Council on Islamic Education. 2 years ago we changed the name to Institute on Religion and Civic Values.
Since 1990, Shabir Mansouri has been active in California textbook publishing to improve how Muslims are portrayed. He works with publishers including Houghton Mifflin and McGraw-Hill.
Forgive me if I'm assuming that you don't know how the textbooks are published, but let me just walk you through very quickly.
On his website, Mansouri claimed he graduated with a degree in chemical engineering from the University of Southern California. Not true, according to our reporting and USC. After we brought this to Mansouri's attention, the website was quickly changed by the IRCB's executive director, Munir Sheikh. Sheikh has a master's degree in Islamic studies from UCLA and got a film credit working with Will Smith as the Islamic technical advisor on the movie Ali. After turning down our numerous interview requests, we showed up at a public teaching workshop Mansouri was conducting in Irvine, California.
We were able to provide at least based on our expertise on the state standards and the First Amendment guide, Constitution guide, to teach a powerful religion. We were able to make those changes in the textbooks.
Can I ask you a quick question? You know, Fox News producer. No, I just wanted to ask you to follow up on what you were just talking about.
I don't deal with media.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't want to go on the record because I'm not equipped to answer.
Shabir sees it as a struggle for the hearts and minds of impressionable elementary school students. It's not a level playing field at all in American public schools among the 3 religions. Muslim beliefs are taught as historical fact, whereas Christianity and Judaism are qualified properly. When they talk about Christianity, Jesus is believed to be the Messiah. The tone of skepticism on Moses' claim to have received the 10 Commandments, he could have made the whole thing up. But the Quran is the revelation received from God by Muhammad.
Nestled in beautiful Fairfax County, Virginia, are 2 campuses of the Islamic Saudi Academy. One in Alexandria that teaches 2nd through 12th grade, and the other in Fairfax teaching pre-K through 1st grade. Fully funded by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for nearly 25 years the school has provided pre-K to 12 instruction to more than 1,000 students per year. They say they promote, quote, respect and mutual understanding between Muslims and non-Muslims, Arabs and Americans, while keeping within the Muslim faith. Meet 1999 Islamic Saudi Academy valedictorian turned Al-Qaeda member, Ahmed Omar Abu Ali. 3 months ago, Ali was sentenced to life in prison for trying to assassinate President George W. Bush.
The graduates of the school will be the new form of Al-Qaeda. It might not be as violent, but it will be the new form, the new face of Al-Qaeda in London or in Madrid or Washington, D.C.
Ali Al-Ahmed is a Shia Muslim and a Saudi national. He is concerned that the ISA promotes radical Islam.
They consider anybody who is not a Muslim or lives under Muslim rule, they consider that person to be unprotected, meaning that that person's death or killing is not considered a sin or a murder.
In 2006, Ahmed wrote this report, which concluded that, quote, the Saudi public school religious curriculum continues to propagate an ideology of hate toward the unbeliever.
If you teach somebody from the age of 6 until the age of 18, you have them for the rest of your life, and that's it. You don't have to spend a penny. And that is part of the Grand Saudi plan.
Shortly after the report was issued, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, an official government body, urged the State Department to demand ISA's textbooks be scrutinized for materials that, quote, promote violence, discrimination, or intolerance based upon religion or belief. The Saudi government agreed that within 2 years it would, quote, revise and update textbooks to remove remaining references that disparage Muslims or non-Muslims, or that promote hatred toward other religions or religious groups.
They brought 2 American professors who have some knowledge of Arabic and textbooks, and they removed the obvious, kill the Jews, hate the Christians, they are our enemy stuff.
This letter, obtained by Fox News reporting, confirms that then Brown University visiting fellow Dr. Eleanor Abdullah D'Amato and University of North Carolina Charlotte anthropology professor Dr. Gregory Sterrett reviewed the 2008-2009 1st through 12th grade textbooks. They assured the ISA's Director General, Abdul Rahman Agolfali, quote, these 12 books do not contain inflammatory material, nor do they encourage students to exhibit intolerance or violence against others. We translated portions of the same textbooks with an Arab linguist and discovered otherwise. Quote, the aforementioned infidel nations ought to be tortured. Quote, Allah, may he be exalted, vowed to prepare a flaming fire that will roast those who disbelieved and burn their skin until they lose senses and feelings. This passage covers marriage. When one party is unable to give consent, such as a person with mental illness, a boy and the underage girl, a father or the guardian is permitted to give them into marriage.
They have not changed the message of those textbooks. They have expunged part of the curriculum to avoid critical reporting by Fox News and other leading news organizations.
We still wanted to talk to the professors.
I talked to you on the phone yesterday from Fox News. I'd like to give you another opportunity to talk on camera. One more opportunity.
This is just unconscionable. I'm going to call the police.
But Dr. Gregory Sterrett did sit down for an interview and disagreed with our translations.
So the texts themselves are not causal agents. Let me rephrase that for a Fox cable audience. And so the texts themselves don't make people do anything. The texts themselves are simply items to be discussed.
Can you tell me how much they paid you?
Nope. Well, I could, but there's really no point to it.
This spring in Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah has started making changes.
And in the biggest break with tradition, he named a woman as Deputy Minister for Education. The shakeup will likely help tone down fundamentalism in the school curriculum.
Back in Fairfax, the county held hearings to evaluate a zoning variance to expand the academy's campus size.
Next, we have Captain Mohammed Wasim, and some blogs went as far as calling it breeding ground for terrorism. So before I could take my soldiers to the academy, my job as an executive officer and security manager was to make sure the academy was safe and conducive to learning environment.
The majority of the hijackers from 9/11 were Saudi nationals. They seem to think it's funny.
Okay, all right. Excuse me, please address the commission. I'm going to ask people who are opposed to the Saudi Academy expansion to please stand.
We believe it is a madrasa.
But it's a private school, funded privately.
Owned and operated by the Saudi government.
Right, by the Saudi government. Yeah. But it's not taking U.S. tax dollars. So why is it our business what they teach?
We believe they're teaching sedition.
We talk about the children in these schools. They are victims. Their parents want them to have an education. If they realize it or not, they are being subjected to very toxic teaching that makes them grow up in this country and feel that they are alien, that they have to hate their neighbors.
And so the motion passes 6-4.
I find it shocking that 6 of them would vote for it, frankly. I'm not sure whose concern they're really looking out after.
The battle over evolution rages on in a classic grudge match.